I talked to Kurt, he said he tried the hardest to keep Comerica because it had such a history. And the market and the business. Yeah. We know that. They're mostly on the north side, west side of the state.
So we have a quorum.
And they're headquarters, it's that. So I, if you could, will be a challenge. I mean.
Gentlemen,
Steve.
come to order. I would like to call the April 15th meeting of the Detroit Board of Water and Sewerage Commission to order and ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Chairperson Einhauser,
Present.
Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Garcia. Present. Commissioner Fagade. Commissioner Forte. Vice Chair Blackman, Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Kinlock is excused but plans to join us.
All right.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Then next is the approval of the agenda. And we want to make one modification. On page 3,
Is your mic?
should be, yeah. On page 3, item E, 2026-76 is going to be moved from the consent agenda, and it's going to be moved to new business on page 5. And so it will be item D under new business. But with that modification, is there a motion to approve the agenda? It's been moved and supported. Questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. And that is adopted unanimously. Next is the approval of the minutes of March the 18th. Commissioners, what is your pleasure? Linda?
Motion to approve the minutes of March 16th.
Been moved. Is there a second? It's supported. Any corrections, changes, or additions to the minutes as presented? Those in favor, please say aye. It's adopted unanimously. Next, we go to public comments. And there are 2 people who are present that would like to make public comments. The first one is Don Blevins. And we have a bid protest that we're going to be considering later in the meeting by Mr. Blevins. But Mr. Blevins, please join us.
Very much, Mr. Commissioner. Thank you, fellow commissioners. My name's Don Blevins. I'm here today representing LGC Global, Inc. and the joint venture that LGC Global participated in bidding on a project, lead service line replacement in Chandler Park. That's project WS 755. Just have a few comments, and I'm hopeful that you'll allow me to continue speaking when you consider that. Specifically, our protest relates to the application of equalization credits that in our bid, we complained that the 6% credit that we're entitled to as a joint venture was left off there. There were a couple of equalization credits that were given to us, multiple credits, but not the 6%. We've received the response to that, and I think there's agreement that it was a mistake to leave the 6% credit off. On the other hand, having received the 60% credit, there's a position taken that we should not be able to get the other credits because that would be stacking, which is the position is it's not allowed. Our issue with that is that the solicitation that we responded to specifically allows for stacking. The bid tab that we received allowed for stacking. The position I understand is that, yeah, you can have some stacking, but you cannot have stacking if you're a joint venture. Respectfully, that's not what the solicitation says, and that's not what the procurement policy says. It provides specifically that there is an entitlement to multiple equalization credits with only specific exceptions. And the solicitation here included only one exception, is that a bidder cannot claim both a joint venture and a mentor venture credit. That's the only exception to the stacking. That then relates to the procurement policy that again says a bidder is entitled to multiple equalization credits with some exceptions. Those exceptions do not apply here either. There are two exceptions. Not a single exception says that if you're a joint venture, you can't get a non-joint venture credit. Just does not apply. So the application, in even the proposed application and the response, are inconsistent with the solicitation, and they're inconsistent with the policy. Sometimes I understand that a policy can seem ambiguous, and there might be call to refer to documents outside the policy. In this case, there's a reference to a workshop where there was a handout given, that the workshop occurred a couple months before the policy was adopted. And on one page of that handout is one line that says there will not be stacking between of a joint venture and other credits. Nowhere else. That did not find its way into the policy. Presumably it was considered. Did not find its way into the solicitation. Presumably it was considered, and it would have been included there if the intention was to deny stacking in this respect. So respectfully, if you look at the protest bases of protest, they're relatively broad, but one thing is very specific. If the evaluation of the bid is inconsistent with the policy, with the Board of Water Commissioners procurement policy, that is the basis for protest, and that's exactly what we have here. Thank you very much for your time. I'll stick around for when you consider the item on the agenda, and I hope that you'll allow me to respond to anything else that is said. Thank you so much, everyone.
Mr. Blevins. Next is Kyla McDonald.
Thank you.
Donald,
Afternoon, Commissioner and Board. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is an issue that I was trying to get resolved, like through customer service and speak.
can you speak into the microphone?
So this was an issue that I was trying to get resolved through customer service and speaking through like several managers that a sale of a home. So the water board has been billing like an extra like $100 because they had like a estimate bill. So they've been billing an estimated bill since December 2024. Yeah, I think it's, no, 2025, I'm sorry, 2025. No, it's 2024. So because it's about 13 months of overbilling on this plan. And I was trying to actually get this resolved before the sale of a home, but I wasn't able to get it resolved in a timely manner. It takes a long time through the process of trying to get the last meter read. Just a lot through going through customer service. I've sent several emails to, like, you guys have like complaint information on your board website where you can actually send complaints to. And I wasn't able to get any of that resolved through, like I said, several emails, several times calling, reaching out to management. I was told that they had to do another meter read, which they actually did a meter read. And once they did the final bill, they noticed it wasn't any water usage on the property. And I was just trying to get the bill adjusted to the usage that we had in the house.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
I need to state anything else, like in terms of like,
Mr. Chair? Yeah, Kim Crowell, which is right behind you, ma'am. Yep.
another thing, I also want to note that a long time ago, they actually set the property up where it wasn't going to be an estimating read. So I don't even know how it even jumped back to being an estimating reading of a bill, because the tenant left in December. This happened where it changed in June. So in June, the reading stopped. It just stopped.
Customer service people take a look at it and we'll see what we can do. Okay,
She spoke with customer service. I've actually been down here too, and they told me that this is probably gonna be where I needed to go because I no longer own the home.
One thing we can do is schedule a meter appointment and make sure that the meter is reading accurately immediately. Kim, if you could help coordinate that.
No, they did the meter reading and they did the final bill too. So,
all right, thank you. Is there anyone else here present that would like to address the board? Do we have anyone online that would like to address the board?
Mr. Chair, we do have one hand that is raised currently. Bridget Scallon. Bridget, you can take yourself off mute, please.
I'm sorry, the name again,
Bridget Scallon.
right? Ms. Salem?
Yeah.
Scallion? Gotcha. Bridget, are you there?
Might take just a moment for her to come off.
Yeah, is there someone else we can call on and then we can go back to her?
There are no other hands raised at this time.
All right, well,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. One person just came in and maybe we're going to try Bridget one more time.
Yep.
Bridget looks like she's coming online right now. Ms. Scallon?
Oh, hi. Thank you for your patience. I'm not sure why the Zoom option to unmute just came on, but I was trying to unmute. Yeah, thank you for making your meeting accessible by Zoom. I appreciate it. I am the person who had sent the correspondence that's linked to in today's meeting's agenda. I don't know if the board members had an opportunity to read it yet. I sent it, as you can see, on March 16th, or I guess maybe you can't see. I emailed it to DWSD on March 16th. I thought that would be in time for your March 18th meeting, but apparently not. So I will read my letter to you during my public time. I'm writing to follow up on my continued concern of water inequity and accountability for residents of Detroit. As a resident of Metro Detroit and former resident of Detroit. As you know, and around 1 year ago on May 30th, I first brought to your attention with a packet of public records that landlord Jeffrey Cohen owed nearly $40K in water and sewage fees to DWSD. Several months later, speaking with your general counsel, who had requested some guidance on properties Cohen owns, I learned Cohen called DWSD the day that DWSD had planned to call him, and he was able to get on separate payment plans for the properties by speaking with customer service agents who were apparently not aware he owed money on various properties for the total of nearly $40K. When I spoke with your general counsel, he said at the time, Cohen was not yet on a payment plan for the mansion he owns and rents out on VRBO in Brush Park. Such continued absence of enforcement at that time by DWSD months after a member of the public, me, had brought these problems to your attention fosters a lack of trust in your agency and the city of Detroit's revitalization and current mayoral administration tone of rise up and focus on equity. As DWSD recognizes good municipal citizenship, I would also like to inform your body that Cohen has attempted to silence me by intimidation of a cease and desist letter containing false allegations in late September 2025. His bullying is only made possible in a city of Detroit culture of negligence and passive and active complicity of which DWSD has been a part in not enforcing water payments for so many years. In receiving publicly available records through my FOIA requests, this is not in the letter, from your employee Donald Riggs, who I really commend as reliable and very professional, unlike other interactions I've had with the city of Detroit. I learned that Cohen is on a payment plan, and yet he continues to owe a total of $30,215.29. Most of that is for 82 Alfred, or all of that amount that he owes is for 82 Alfred, 159 Virginia Park, 866 Virginia Park, 888 Virginia Park, and 874 Virginia Park. And only one of those is where he's a resident. So this is a landlord who is allowed to carry more than $30,000 in debt. Meanwhile, I know that DWSD is enforcing water shutoffs of other residents who are not operating for a profit as landlords. So I see my time is up, but I would appreciate you reading the rest of my letter. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chair, the next caller is Miko Williams. Mr. Williams, you can unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams.
Yes, hello, Mr. Chair. And hello to the Honorable Board of Water Commissioners. D'Amico Williams here.
Miko?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, you have the floor, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Sorry, I'm under the Wayne State antenna that almost caught on fire. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. D'Amico Williams, Chief Director, Hydrate Detroit. I am representing residents with their water shut off and trying to find a resolution to help pay water bills in the city of Detroit. Currently, I am taking phone calls for people that are in water shutoff hell and they need help. And these are some big, heavy bills. So I would want to give my information one more time. We are worthy and thankful to be a partner with the Water and Sewage Department to help a lot of residents in their time of need. So I'm going to give the information one more time. If anybody needs help with their water bill or needs help preventing a water shutoff, please call 313-279-0608, 313-279-0608. They can email us at water4detroit@gmail.com. We understand that there are other resources out there, but they are strained and they are closed. And right now, I'm going to give the rest of my time to a resident that I was just consulting over the phone who is afraid that her water could be shut off, and she's going to speak to you. Miss Barbara Thornton, through my cell phone to the ears of the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. Go ahead, Mrs. Thornton.
Okay, hello everybody. Good morning. And right now all I have is a prayer and a big problem. And I know we have a prayer answer to that. My problem is I have a water shut off. And I've been in this city over 50 years. And my bill was like $1,500. I did take the necessary steps, the right protocol. I reached out to social service. I was approved for $350. But my bill is $1,500. They want me to pay the other remaining balance. I don't have over $900 something. I don't have that. I couldn't use it. So that's $350 wasted because you have to pay the $900 something first before they'll pay anything. And you only got 30 days, so I lost out on that. I called Wayne Metro. All their funds are exhausted. Salvation Army funds are exhausted. I talk with, the funds are exhausted. It's sort of like the last straw for me. I'm about to be shut off. I'm too old to be sitting up here with no water. Especially during the time when I feel that COVID still exists. You have to take care of your personal hygiene. I don't care what nobody say. You have to take care of your personal hygiene. And water is like a necessity to me. I know God created the earth, made it for everybody, and the water is 24 how much you use, you got to pay for it. And I don't have the money right now. I just don't have it. I'm praying that I can get some type of way to stop this shut off because I don't want my earth shut off. That's the bottom line. And I don't have the money right now.
Thank you.
I'm on a fixed income with no overtime.
Thank you, Mrs. Thornton. Board, I hope you all heard her story, and I will send over her information right after this public comment. But I really need you all to do whatever you can to help residents. Please put a stop to water shutoffs, implement that list of the waiting list of the Lifeline H2O, and also redevelop the list that we had to prevent water shutoffs by people calling and getting a reprieve. Thank you for taking my comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams, and
Mr. Chair?
Please send that on. All right, is there anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Norel Hemphill.
Ms. Hemphill?
You can unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much to the board for giving us this time to speak with you. Attorney Narelle Hemphill. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Legal and Public Policy Manager at We the People of Detroit. We the People of Detroit is a nonprofit organization that fights for water rights and water justice and access to clean, safe, and affordable water. Right now, me and my colleagues are on the Hill advocating during Water Week in DC for water, but I knew that the work that we do in community is so important that that we needed to be on this call right now. We've met with several congressional persons to advocate for LIHWAP Establishment Act in the EPA to ensure that we bring that money back to Detroiters. We know how important it is for clean, safe, and affordable water, that people are getting shut off. We've worked with our residents to ensure that they get clean, safe, and affordable water. And in doing so, we just met with Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. She just introduced the Water Access and Affordability Act, which is House Bill number 8254. That's House Bill 8254. And that was just introduced. We need DWSD to support that bill so that we are, again, able to make sure that those funds come back to the state of Michigan so that we can have a more robust water affordability program like the one we had before. We know that the Lifeline plan, the first iteration of Lifeline, was groundbreaking, not only for our water utilities across the nation, but for residents in Detroit. We had nearly 30,000 residents in the Lifeline H2O. And right now, in the original Lifeline. And then now in Lifeline H2O, we have less than 5,000 families. That type of reduction, we're seeing the type of harm that it's causing, especially to those who are low income, especially to those with children, especially to our elders in community. We constantly are hearing stories of people being shut off and afraid of what they're going to do because they have no water or afraid of being shut off. So this is something that we have to do at all levels, which is why we, a grassroots organization, are in DC right now. So we need DWSD to join the fight. Also, I cannot wrap up my public comment without mentioning that right now we're being underpaid for the lease of our water assets, our water infrastructure that was bought and paid for on the backs of Detroiters, that Detroiters were forced into a 40-year lease agreement with GLEWA, and GLEWA is only paying $50 million, 17 of which Detroit is paying back to ourselves. That lease agreement should be something more like $215 million a year. That $215 million, that additional money would more than cover a true water affordability program. So again, we continue to fight for clean, safe, and affordable water for all Detroiters. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a brief correction, we didn't sell the assets. We still own them. We're leasing them to the Great Lakes Water Authority. Is there anybody else?
Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised at this time, although I do believe that we do have one person that is in person.
Oh, yes, I was given the note. Stephen Thiel. Good afternoon, sir.
Well, good afternoon, board. My name is Stephen Thiel, and I own the property at 17133 Mack Avenue. For the last year, we've been trying to resolve an issue. It turns out in 2005, when the water mains were being replaced on Mack Avenue, our sewer lead was accidentally disconnected by the contractor. And it says right on the blueprints, I did get the blueprints from Mr. McGriff, and the blueprints say that there are unknown sewer leads that the contractor has to be careful not to damage or to replace as needed. Ours was never replaced, and as a result, we've paid over the last 20 years over $35,000 in sewerage fees that were never provided. And then also recently we paid approximately $25,000 to have our sewer replaced. We did pull a permit as is required, and it seemed like the possibility of not having pulled a permit was more of the focus than making the situation right. We didn't know that our sewer is disconnected because our crawl space is encapsulated and the building was vacant for many years. But it caused a lot of damage to our foundation. And really, I'm willing to absorb that, but I am asking within a reasonable time frame. And again, this has been going on over a year now. I'm asking to be reimbursed for the sewer replacement, just the sewer replacement. I'm not even asking for the sewerage fees that we paid, but I really would like to stop spending time on this. I don't want to have to come to these board meetings repeatedly. I'm just asking for it to be resolved because it's pretty clear. There's a documentation of how this happened. We've got pictures of everything. The as-built drawings do not show a new sewer being replaced on our property. And I'm sure that the construction practices have changed since 2005, but proper as-built drawings should show the sewer leads that were replaced, and there should be some kind of documentation that it was checked, especially when our sewer clearly goes right in the path of the trench that was dug. So I just ask that somebody help us get this resolved. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
And is there anyone else who would like to address the board? Hearing none, seeing none, we will close public comment, excuse me, and we will move on to item 6, communications, and that includes A, B, and C. Is there a motion to receive and file communication?
Chair.
Commissioner Blackman, and is there support?
Seat and file, yes.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Are there any of the individual items that are listed in our agenda? Anyone have any questions about any of them? None. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, and that is adopted. Next, item 7, items from commissioners. Are there any items to be brought by any members of the commission? Hearing none, then we'll move on to unfinished business. There's none. So next, we have the approval of the consent agenda, items A through K, with the exception of item E, which was moved to new business. The consent agenda requires unanimous consent, and if any commissioner wishes to have one of those original items removed from the consent agenda and considered by itself, please say so. All right, hearing none, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Commissioner Blackman.
Adoption of the consent agenda with the item that you have noted that would not be included.
Is there support?
Support.
Any questions or comments regarding any of the items on the consent agenda? And I should observe, we're approving the sale of many millions of dollars, but these were considered in great detail at the committee level. So we may be giving the impression that we're dealing with this slightly, but we're not. Each of these items come with a recommendation of the Finance Committee. That said, any other questions or comments? Then hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. And all those opposed, and that is adopted. So next, we will move to new business. And the first item of new business, review and approval of the final 5-year DWSD CIP for fiscal years 27 to 31. Does this require a motion, or this is a report?
It's a report.
A presentation, all right. Mr. Rahman? Nope.
We had the presentation at least twice during the finance committees, if it pleased the board.
It's a report. Yeah. All right. We have heard this presentation before. We'll take a motion to receive and file.
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Moved Commissioner Forte and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, and that is adopted. Next, item B, is there a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Tay,
that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewerage Department approves the proposed 5-year capital improvement plan, CIP, for the fiscal years 2027 through 2031 for the water supply system in the amount of $664,500 is that 550,000, and for the sewage disposal system in the amount of $784,450,000 respectively. And the fiscal year 2027 capital budget for the water supply system in the amount of $109,249,000, and for the sewage disposal system in the amount of $124,534,000 respectively. And further authorizes the Director and Chief Financial Officer to take such other action as may be necessary to accomplish the intent of this vote.
all right. This motion contemplates the spending of over $1 billion. Are there any questions or concerns? And these amounts are so high because these are capital improvements over the next 3 years.
Support.
Yes. There is support. Mr. Rahman, anything to say?
Anything to add?
Anything to add? I'm sorry? Oh, okay, nothing to add. Very well. Any discussion, comments by board members? All those in favor then, please say aye. All right, please call the roll. Yes.
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 That is adopted unanimously. Next item is C. And it is a motion regarding LLC Global Inc. managing joint ventures bid protest regarding Detroit Water and Sewerage. Before I ask for a motion, do we want to get a presentation? We received, at least I received the bid that the protest that I've been through. I've not seen a specific response, but
Mr. Chairman, we have our procurement manager, Marquesha Welch, is prepared to present on this particular item. Earlier, Mr. Blevins was presented the argument for LGC during our opening comments, and his comments reflected what is in his bid protest, as well as his response to what Ms. Welch presented to the board in terms of her response. She now has her presentation. So if we could give her the microphone and allow her to present.
before we get into the substance, perhaps you can just give us a brief refresher for us on the mechanics of a bid protest.
Certainly. The way the bid protest procurement regulations stand now, upon receipt of a bid protest, the procurement manager needs to immediately address the grounds of that and present it to the board within 7 days for a decision by the board. It just so happened that the timing of this bid protest worked such that we didn't have to hold a special meeting and we were able to present it at this bid at this meeting in order to be timely. At this meeting, typically the procurement manager or myself will present on a bid protest, give you our recommendation and the basis for that recommendation, and then it will be up to the board to make a decision as to how it would like to proceed. I will tell you that we are in the process right now of substantially revising our procurement regulations, particularly around bid protests and other items, and that will be presented to the board in next month's meeting. But we have the regulations as they are now. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Welch and allow her to present on this particular bid protest by LGC Global.
All right, thank you. Ms. Welch, good afternoon.
Afternoon. The bid protest that's before you today presents ambiguity within the process in which DWSD applies stacking of equalization credits. On April the 6th of 2026, LGC Global submitted a bid protest for project number WS755 for lead water service line replacement, in which it indicated that they were not afforded the 6% joint venture credit. Additionally, the joint venture Detroit Grounds Crew, who is the other partner for this contract, should have received a 1% equalization credit as a small Detroit certified business. Such measures equate to a grand overall total reduction in their bid evaluation of 10% equalization credits if stacked. DWSD procurement acknowledged the joint venture should have received a 6% equalization credit, which is reflected in our policy. And thus, bids were reevaluated to determine if the original intent to award would impact the current recommended bidder, and the determination, our determination, I'm sorry, I'm trying to see in the dark, did not change the original ruling that went before the board and the finance committee. I do want to give the board a background of how we got here. In 2023, DWSD made significant changes to our original procurement policy. One of those significant changes was adding 3 new Detroit certifications, as well as significantly increasing the credits in the area of joint venture and mentor venture to encourage more partnerships versus subcontracting. That increase consisted of 0.5% to 1% under the old policy, and up under the new policy, they are now afforded between 5% and 9% as a joint venture alone without any stackable credits. On April the 17th of 2023, prior to the approval of the 2023 procurement policy that we now have, we did 3 working sessions, myself, procurement, our business opportunity, and our general counsel at the time. These slides presentation had 3 sessions, one in particularly about the stacking of equalization credits. I also included an Exhibit A in the board motion that was presented on the agenda. And on there, you will see on the last bullet, it specifically says that there is no stacking for joint or mentor ventures, being that they were afforded the highest percent available. Even with the stacking, they would exceed stacking in Detroit headquarter, Detroit-based, or Detroit resident-based, or small micro resident-based. Based on that information, I would also like to provide the board that due to past practice, since the onset of the implementation of our 2023 policy, DWSD has not ever stacked equalization credits for those areas. We currently have 3 active joint venture contracts which have been executed and approved by this board, where the applicable joint venture credit only without stackables were approved, and that has been the precedence of DWSD in its entirety for procurement. At this time, I ask that the board will review the documents that have been introduced in Exhibit A. I also had attachments for the minute meetings where that was also approved. That was a public meeting that we scheduled. Those documents were public documents that were shared. This communication also goes out to every outreach event that I attend when I am trying to promote small businesses to network and partner with the primes. We also talk about stacking of joint ventures. So at this time, I am asking that the board would accept the bid protest in part where DWSD did not apply the 6% equalization credit, so that we may do a revised bid tabulation and intend to award to post, but also reject the bid protest in part of the stacking of other equalization credits in conjunction with the award resulting from joint and/or mentor ventures. And I'll yield for any questions at this time.
To observe, Commissioner Kinlock has joined us, and he seeks to be recognized and is.
So I just was listening to you. You've given a historical perspective as it relates to the policy changes and whatnot. It's always unfortunate when we have to deal with these type of bid protests where you have vendors who are confused, or there may be some oversight and and the final determination of the awarding of the contract. But what I want to know was that, so how did this happen, and how did you have you looked at your processes to prevent this from happening again? And then another question is, because I've heard in certain instances that the water department uses the procurement policies and procedures of the department, and then also uses the procurement process from the purchase and procurement department from the city of Detroit as a whole. I'm just saying, is that true? If you can speak to that, but also it's very problematic. And so even though we're making this correction, it still leaves that sort of like issue out there as it relates to the awarding of this contract.
This is Scott McGriff, General Counsel. Commissioner Kinlock, let me answer your question, or at least part of your question. That is, number one, Detroit Water and Sewage Department has its own procurement policy, a separate procurement policy that governs our procurements. The city of Detroit's procurement policies don't govern our procurements. We, in a particular procurement, can bring in, if we deem it appropriate, policies that we think might apply to a particular procurement, but we have our own procurement policy. I said before you got here that we're in the process of substantially revising our procurement policy to correct certain issues, including bid protest issues and the timing of bid protests and how that will work. That will be presented to the board in the next month. And so we anticipate that our next board meeting will address filling holes, making corrections, updating our procurement policy as we go forward. In this particular case, it was unfortunate that the original 6% joint venture credit was not added to Lakeshore Global's bid. We think that that should be corrected. But at the end of the day, procurement does not feel like, as Ms. Welch just announced, they don't feel like that changes the outcome of the bid, because procurement's policy has been not to stack other eligible credits on top of the joint venture credit, because they already get the highest joint venture credit. And so by doing that, that would be contrary to our past practice and policies of how we run procurement, number one, and even contrary to how this particular vendor has been awarded joint ventures in the past. It has not received stacking credits. It has received the joint venture credit and allowed and been awarded contracts in the past, and has not received that stacking. So in this particular case, because this vendor, I think, was not the most successful vendor, it decided to protest in this case. We believe that that's contrary to the way that the board approved the policy when it was presented, the changes to the procurement policy, as Ms. Welch just announced, number one, and then number two, contrary to past practice.
All right. Questions by members of the board?
I saw it. He was finishing a thought, I think. Yeah.
To how the procurement policies will be revised in the next month. So that hole will be corrected.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners,
On Ms. Walsh, if you wanted to add something else.
Blevins, please come forward. And is there anything you'd like to add to what we've heard?
Yes, and thank you for allowing me to do that. First of all, I do want to say that you all have an unenviable job here. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I would do any better trying to, put together procurement policy. I am not suggesting anything untoward here or incompetent. I heard a couple of things. One, microphone.
No, speak into it.
Do it.
I heard a couple of things that I would like to respond to. First is that sometimes a bidder there can be some confusion. Reading the request for bids or the procurement can be confusing. This is not one of those times. There is nothing confusing about this policy. I just ask you to read it. There's nothing confusing about the request for bids. I ask you to read it. It's very, very simple. Every bidder is entitled to equalization credits in accordance with the chart that is provided that includes both joint venture and all of the other credits, with only one exception in this bid, and that's that a joint venture cannot get a credit get the same credit as a mentor venture. That's the only exception. Everything else, there's nothing confusing about it. Same thing with the policy. Nothing confusing about it. I'd ask you to, one thing I'll never do is come here to this board and say, I'm protesting this procurement, and receive the question, well, was it inconsistent with the request for proposals? Nope, spot on, did everything the way the request for proposals said. Well, what about the policy? Was it inconsistent with the policy? No, it applied the policy. Well, what's your basis of protest? Well, because some months before you adopted that policy, I got this flyer or I got this handout from a working group that was leading toward the policy. And in that handout, well, it says that, it gives me the basis for the protest. Well, was that handout consistent or inconsistent with the policy that we adopted, that we know is the board's procedure to follow? Is it consistent or inconsistent? Well, I would say, oh, well, it was inconsistent because the policy you actually adopted was not consistent with that handout. I don't think you'd grant that protest. I think you'd say, no, the basis for a protest is whether we acted inconsistent with our policy. And that might be a definitional issue because I heard that it's the policy, as in past practices, it's the policy as in past practices not to give these stacking credits for a joint venture. I don't think respectfully that's the definition of a policy that is the basis of a bid protest. I think the definition of the policy that is in the procurement policy, the definition of a grounds for a bid protest, it's the written policy. It's not the past practice. It's not the past practice. There's a suggestion, well, even LGC at one point received, through a joint venture, received the award and it didn't get stacking credits. It didn't protest there. Well, of course we didn't protest, we won. We won, and it would have just expanded the margin. I'm never gonna do that to you either. If we win a protest, I'm not going to make a point of it by saying, hey, we could have won by a bigger margin if you would have, I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to come to you, I'm going to give a protest, and it's going to be based upon a violation of the IFB or a violation of the written policy. And finally, and thank you for your time, I've heard that there's a suggestion that the policy is being reconsidered. I respect that. I love that. As an alternative, as one possibility, I think that the board has available to it the possibility of rebidding this, allowing the policy to be rewritten. So if one or clarified that the past practice is not a reflection of the policy, one way or the other, clarify so that we don't have this again and rebid it. It doesn't take long, and then we can all the participants can base it upon the same understanding. So we base our pricing, we do, on the anticipation of what credits we're going to get, and it will affect it. So thank you very much. I hope that you will grant the protest and grant our bid on the recalculation, because I think that's what's right. But if not, If not, at least consider resoliciting based upon the revised policy. Thank you so much.
Chair. Okay, I just want to ask you a question, Council. So you were quite aware that the department in the past has made some determinations and awarded contracts, not taking into account stacking. Because so the department operates from the standpoint of the written policy and precedents and how they have administered those policies. And so you just stated that you did not protest or raise any issue or just even give a note, hint, or suggestion that you should have gotten additional credits at any point in time because you were awarded the contract. And what I'm saying is now is being recommended that someone else also be awarded a contract under the same premises, the same guides, the same determination that have previously awarded your clients' contracts in the past. So we're trying to bring into alignment from what our council is saying, the practice and practice and the written policy, because both of those have been running side by side when the department makes a recommendation to this board. So I'm asking you, why now should you expect this board to basically rebid a contract when you have benefited in the past from the same practice and the same procedures that we have in the past?
Thank you for your question, and I think it's a good one. I do not believe that we've benefited from your policy in the past. What I believe is that we were not burdened by your policy because we would have won anyway. And so, no, I'm not going to do that. I mean, unless I get the signal, and I thought about raising this before. I mean, if this were the precedent of the board, that we can base a protest on a procurement that absolutely followed the written policy, but by saying, hey, one time in the past, you applied a different criterion. Do you want all these protests to come in? I don't even think that I would be allowed to protest if an award that I won. I don't think that it's within the board's policy. I'm not a disappointed bidder. I'm not allowed to protest it. So no, I hear you, and it could sound that way. Hey, we want to take the benefit of this policy when it benefits us, but when it burdens us, well, then now we're going to protest it. Okay, I'll say, that happens, sometimes, but in this case, that's not what happened. In this case, even if that's not what happened, we were not burdened or benefited by the policy in the past. We just won the project, won the project. We just or the contract. We just won it.
And this is the last point, Mr. Chair. I respect the work of your company and all of the companies that come through here. But just listening to your comment and looking through the report and information, I have not heard anything that warrants us to override the recommendation of the department. The department is saying that they're going to bring to this board for its consideration some modifications to make sure that it's clear and there is no ambiguity that could bring about this type of issue. But there will be future contracts. And like I said, you all do great work, with the water department across a number of levels of entities. And so I haven't heard anything that warrants doing something different from what's being suggested. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? My thoughts about this are, it's obvious that the policy was ambiguous or vague or silent on this issue. And what we do next week has nothing to do with what we have to do today. But given the fact that there is this vague or silent, I think it is important that we depend on our past practice. I'm only speculating, but if we had interpreted the procurement regulations in the past as we're being asked to today, there could be a change in outcome in terms of the award of a bid. we have a recommendation to accept the protest in part, but I'm assuming if we do that, that's not going to change the award of the bid. Okay. So I'm inclined to agree with Commissioner Kinlock. And we've done business with the Great Lakes for years and years and years, and we're going to in the future, Lakeshore, and we know we're going to in the future. But I think given this record, it's my view that the protest should be denied. Any other comments? All right, then. Would someone like to introduce the motion?
Chair. Chair, upon review of the April 6, 2026 bid protest from LGC Global, the managing joint venture, and on behalf of LGC Detroit Grounds Crew, Inc., JV, regarding Detroit Water and Sewage Department request for bid RFB number 534476 project WS 755 for lead water service line replacement and review of the original bid submission information attached to the bid protest and summary of actions taken by DWSD procurement. The Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department accepts in part and rejects in part the protest and directs the director to act in accordance with this action and the recommendation of the department.
Is there support? Any other discussion? All right, on the motion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That is adopted. Mr. Blevins, I know, Blevins, you don't, this isn't the result you wanted to see, but I do hope we'll continue to do business with each other in the future.
Thank you very much. That means a lot to myself and to my company, and I appreciate your time. Regret the decision, but I respect it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, I guess we are at the director's report. Oh, okay. Item C, yeah. No, we changed the agenda. So if we go back to page 3, this would, item E. Okay. So item I, is there a motion? Tell you what, I'll do it. I don't get to make motions very often. I move that the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit authorize the director, and wouldn't you know while I'm talking, authorize the director to approve DWSD contract 6007795 for project WS. It was 2026-76.
6. Yes, 76. It's item.
Yeah. Item E. Okay. Strike what I just said. Commissioners, I move that the Board of Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewage Department authorize the director to approve DWSD contract 6007780, project WS 755 with DMC Consultants, Inc. for lead water service line replacement, Chandler Park, for a total contract amount not to exceed $7,969,391.31 for a term of 2 years, and authorize the director to take any appropriate action to implement this motion. Is there support?
Support.
All right. Ms. Welsh, do you have anything to add?
Page 3.
No, I don't have any additional commentary. It was presented during the finance committee, even though it was removed from the consent agenda until after the board protest. So nothing in addition has changed. With the application of the 6% equalization credit that was corrected and applied to the bid, it did not change the potential awardee that is DMC Consultant, Inc.
Comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed? It is, well, it carries. Our vote is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 1. Okay, next. The director's report. Mr. Smalley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sam Smalley, Deputy Director. So with the warmer temperatures, our restoration of hard and soft surfaces has begun. Although we work hard for our residents 365 days a year, we're able to ramp up many of our activities, especially during the spring, summer, and fall when temperatures create optimal work conditions and the sun's out. Construction continues for most of our projects through the winter, such as lead service line replacement, water and sewer replacements. But the replacement of soft and hard surfaces, grass, asphalt, concrete, et cetera, are impacted because the plants close and they just opened up April 13th. A backlog of restoration from the winter months is prioritized starting in the spring when the weather breaks. And by the way, we have 1,500 hard surface restorations backlogged and just over 1,000 soft. I'm going off script here a little bit. We usually do between 1 to 200 restorations a week, but of course we do have more that also come in. Sometimes we have to move them around, but we're quite confident that we're going to complete, like we did last winter, all of the ones backlogged before winter hit. We ask customers for their patience until we can come back to complete restoration April through October. We prioritize impacts from oldest to newest, so construction from November to December that was temporarily restored is scheduled for permanent restoration in April and May. Impacted areas from January through March will follow. Property disturbed during construction will be restored, including seeding of grass, sidewalk, and roadway repairs.
Okay. Questions, comments? Right, thank you very much, Mr. Smalley. And next, we come to item 12. Are there any comments that any of commissioners would like to make? Right. Commissioner Blackman.
Information with me, but there is going to be a tribute to former council member Joanne Watson at Central High School. So I will try to get the information to everyone so that they will know what that event will be. Because I think it's certainly worthy of us knowing and those of us who want to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by commissioners? Comments by the chair? I have none. Therefore, are there any other matters to come before the board?
Chairman, Scott McGriff, I want to follow up on 2 items that came before the board last week. One was a complaint by Ms. Josiah, who had a water in her basement. She appeared in front of you. We've evaluated that claim and have denied it as being not something that we're entitled to and can pay out. That communication has been sent to Ms. Josiah. The second item is Mr. Thiel. Mr. Thiel was here last board meeting. He was here again this meeting. He has raised 2 issues. The one he presented last week or last meeting and this meeting involves the fact that the prior owner of his property had their sewer line cut 20 years ago when there was work done in the street outside of that property. And he has had, because he's the subsequent owner, he's had to go out and repair his water and sewer line. That claim is stale. It's been 20 years. The right to bring that claim actually belonged to the prior owner. the way that we've done we've done quite a lot of investigation into this claim because we want to make sure we get it right. Our typical practice when that would have happened at that time would have been that the contractor doing that work would have contacted the homeowner or the property owner, let him know that this had happened, and there would have been an investigation with the property owner and the contractor and DWSD at that time. Unfortunately, because the records from this project were 20 years ago, we no longer have those records. So I can't tell you that that was the process that was followed in this case. I can tell you that was the process that would have been followed and should have been followed, but it was 20 years ago and it was a prior owner. So I can't tell you but that is what the process should have been. And so the prior owner of that property, which was dilapidated at the time, would have had the opportunity to come in and make their claim, and the contractor who was ever doing the work at that time would have then addressed the issue if there had been a problem. We have not yet denied his claim because there's another issue that goes along with that, which is permits in doing the actual work, and we're still in the process of investigating that. He did pull a permit. The question is whether he pulled all of the permits he was required to do, and our section's trying to figure out how to make all of this work. The other issue that he brought up last week or last meeting that he did not reiterate this meeting is that he was charged $2,000 there were $2,000 in charges for water when his water wasn't turned on during a period of time. And I've investigated that. We believe that that has merit, and we will waive those $2,000 worth of charges for his property. So we can give him some relief there. It's unlikely we're going to be able to give him relief on the actual work that was done 20 years ago for the prior property owner, but that hasn't yet been finalized.
Mr. Chair.
Block.
On that, so we've had conversations at this table from time to time and asked the director to look and authorize the director to take certain sets of eyes at issues to address relief under certain unique circumstances. This seems like it was a number of issues from this particular, I guess, resident, and just wondering if there's any different sets of exceptions that can be utilized and determined, because if we determine that 20 years ago a contractor did error, and the fact that we can't find what process was put in place, our job should be about restoring water. I'm just saying restoring water to the best of our ability. And this does seem like there's a lot of issues surrounding this particular circumstance. So that conversation I think we had a while ago about unique sets of eyes and circumstances, and I would definitely ask for you all to look at that, because it just, seems like a lot to take right there with that one.
Thank you, Commissioner, through the chair. I appreciate that. And we haven't yet denied that claim. We will take a look at that. We are legally restrained in how we can spend ratepayer funds. And in particular, we're not allowed to spend ratepayer funds to address private particular issues. This may represent a particular circumstance, and we're happy to go back and take a look at that to see if there's something that applies here. And so, as I said, we haven't yet made a final decision, but.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I think it's very important for us to state that, what the attorney just said clearly to our public, because I'm not sure that that's the message they're getting. So if we're sending out messages that can be misconstrued or misinterpreted or misunderstood, it's, I think, incumbent upon us to let them know what our responsibilities are as what their responsibilities are.
Principal realtor, and I don't know if there was a realtor in this case, but would insist that their client spend the money on a thorough inspection. Last time I purchased a house, I spent a couple $100 for someone to put a camera down the sewer and make sure that it works. It's been 5 years and someone's telling me I should do it again in terms of maintenance. But people buy property as is. And I'm sympathetic, but I'm not persuaded. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. McGriff. Once again, is there anything else to come before the Board of Commissioners today? All right, a motion to adjourn is in order.
This is Scott McGriff again. I'm sorry, we need to move to go into closed session to address a ongoing litigation matter.
Would someone like to make the motion to go into closed session?
That the Board of Water Commissioners for the City of Detroit Water and Sewerage Department agrees to meet with legal counsel in closed session pursuant to Section 8E of the Michigan Open Meetings Act to discuss ongoing litigation to the Board of Water Commissioners and also authorize the director to take such other action as may be necessary.
Is there support? Any discussion? That requires a roll call vote. So would the secretary please call the roll?
Chairman Einhauser,
Yes.
Vice Chair Blackman, Commissioner Garcia. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kinlock.
Yes.
Commissioner Fagade, Commissioner Forte.
All right. That motion has been adopted, and so I'd like to thank and excuse